Hey guys, Alex over here at Hyundai of Greeley Service. Just wanted to talk to you today about a couple things. One thing, when your cars come in for service, every time it comes through the door, we do what's called a multi-point inspection. This is kind of where we find issues with your vehicle, maintenance that you need to keep up on, and other items we can let you know that we need to take care of down the future. I like to look at this as kind of a roadmap, essentially. This lets me check out your vehicle and let you know, hey, this is what we have coming up here in the future, this is what to plan for, and this is what we need to fix immediately. So if you take a peek at the inspection, you can see we've got a lot of different colors going on here. Green, meaning the item we're inspecting is good to go, no attention necessary. The yellow you can look at as sort of a medium here, something that may need attention here in the future or really isn't an item of concern at this point in time. And then over to the right, we've got the red section. That's kind of immediate action. It needs attention right now. Items like that, where we start, are on the exterior. Electrical items like bulbs, your windshield, your wipers, kind of safety things that we need to pay attention to. If any of those are in red, you'll see us up there talking to you, kind of explaining, hey, this is what we need to do. Now, as you move down the list, we move to the interior, checking out your filters, horn operation, heater and AC stuff. One big thing in the wintertime right now, your Hyundai battery. We always test your batteries, and we always inspect the terminals as well to see if we need to clean those guys off for you. Further along, we move under the hood, checking out the filters, make sure your cooling system and other fluids are good. We always inspect your belts, and we'll recommend them as necessary. But when you get one of these, if you see those items in the yellow, you can plan on assuming you're going to need to pay attention to those in the future, and that's where the roadmap comes in. So I can explain to you, hey, you have X amount of miles or X amount of days before we need to actually, get in and service the item. Now, further down the list here is where we actually have the fluids, most importantly being engine oil and transmission fluid. You can see we check coolant, brake fluid. Power steering now is kind of becoming obsolete, as Hyundai has given us the gift of electronic power steering, so we don't have to worry about the fluid anymore. And you'll see washer fluid is at the end. Now, whether you're using a different fluid or you're filling it yourself, whether it's an inch low or all the way empty, we are going to fill it to the top, and we do use a premium winter fluid, good to -24. So unless you're up in the Arctic, you're not going to be freezing that reservoir and breaking parts. As we move under the vehicle, once we're draining your oil, we inspect all of the drivetrain, essentially, including axles, all of the boots where all your grease is stored, things like that. Suspension, including steering, the shocks, the struts, all the linkage in there. We always check your transmission, make sure we're not leaking, and if we are, we can give you a roadmap of what we need to do to correct that. Exhaust pertains to your emission system, so we'll make sure that you're still going to pass your annual emissions or every other year, depending on where you're living. Other than that, we check the lines and all of that. Check your leaks as far as the oil goes, among your other fluids, including brake fluid, power steering, etc. Now, if we move over here to the right, is where we get into our tire and brake measurements. This is a great idea as far as inspecting these items, so I can recommend 1, tire rotations, 2, tire alignments based off of your tread, and 3, we measure your brake pads in the front and the rear every time you come in. This is great because this will save you money in the future, as I can recommend a pad replacement before we start damaging other components on the vehicle. Now, when you leave service, you're going to get the copy on the back here as a carbon copy with your records. The other 2 copies we scan and store a physical copy of, so that if you ever sell your vehicle third party, trade it in, or if you're considering trading it in, this gives you a good roadmap of items you may need to fix before you go ahead and do so. So that's one item we want to share with you today. We'll go ahead and share some more in the future. That way you know what we're about here at Hyundai of Greeley Service.